I'm a native English speaker. I'm from Britain. You know what that means? It means, to a lot of people, it could look like I have an advantage in this world, in this worldwide global matrix of business, science. And a lot of it is in English, right? But I'll give you a brief rundown of what it was like for me growing up and where I am, you know? I was born in England, Lancashire. And when I was 4 years old, I moved to Scotland, which their English is a little bit different than English from England. Their English is a lot less English. They use a lot of words that, English speakers wouldn't use, and sometimes that could be confusing. It's not so bad when you're 4, but when you get older, things start getting a bit more whack, right? By the time I was 8 years old, I moved to the Canary Islands in Spain, and I was thrown in the deep end on learning Spanish in the school, knowing zilch. That was difficult. Not only did I not know the language, but I didn't know the culture or anything. I didn't know how crazy people were going to be with the fighting, the physical sort of thing, and how much the teachers didn't give a fuck. And from 8 years old until 12, I was in the minority. As time went on, I've met other people since I've been back here that have had very similar experiences, and yeah, it wasn't just me. And this is the way it is when you go to other countries as a kid. And eventually, once I was 12, moved back to Britain, and sort of lost the language of Spanish until I came back here again, Many people around the world speak English, some better than others, right? I wanted to show you a list on Wikipedia of all the countries that have a better and worse standard of English, right? As you can see, the countries close to Britain, a lot of them black, the Scandinavian countries, Germany, the Netherlands, right? See right down here at the bottom, South Africa, a lot of English speaking there. And as you go into the next one, high proficiency, you're looking at France and Portugal. Oh, wait. Nah, Portugal seems to have black. Oh, let's look on the list after that. Then you're looking at a lot of other countries in the darker purple in Europe. And then eventually you get to Russia and Ukraine and all that. China, India. That's a moderate, right? And then you have countries that don't even make the list. The other ones, you see Australia, America, stuff like that, were not on the list because it's already number 1. And the actual list, Netherlands, Austria, Denmark, Singapore, absolutely. Really going well on the English. Right down at the bottom, Yemen. I think they're a bit busy to learn English. I wonder what the list would be like for Spanish. Maybe there's not even a list for that. I really doubt there's going to be a Mandarin or Cantonese one. And when we get back to the list, we can see there are many countries in the world that have some proficiency in English. So, what do us English speakers do when we go to these countries? Like, let's say if we go to Greece. High proficiency in English. Amazing. Let's go on a 2-week holiday. What's the typical couple gonna do, right? They're gonna learn Greek for a holiday they have in a couple of months. Maybe they might learn some words, but they're not gonna be speaking in sentences. Imagine you go over, right, and you start trying to speak some Greek, and it's in a busy restaurant, and everyone's like, "Hi, how you doing?" Right? You're in a tourist place. They're gonna appreciate a couple of Greek words, but after that, they're gonna be like ready to hear your order in English. And I've experienced this quite a lot around the world, especially in languages that I don't really speak. You know, Italy is one of the ones that comes up on my brain. Back in 2015, I went with a friend, and you know, I was trying to use the memory of Spanish and using that to mix with the Italian, right? Not necessarily making the Spanish language actually mix, but more like using my logic and remembering the words, and it actually helped remembering a lot of stuff, and I get the pronunciation going pretty well. But yet they want to speak English, and I was like, what's going on? I'm getting angry. But then I realized, nah man, they want to practice their English. And when I realized that, everything changed. I wanted to start helping people. Anytime someone wanted to speak English with me that is a non-native speaker, I would help them out with that because they appreciate it, they want it. It seems to be more important for them to learn English than for me to go on holiday for a few weeks somewhere and forcing my fucking stupid language skills on them, especially in a busy environment. However, what I've experienced and what I see on the internet is a lot of people complaining about English speakers, Americans, British, Australian, just being lazy and not trying to learn anything, not trying to learn any of the language, going over to a country and expecting everyone to speak English, right? And they're complaining about that. And they're making you feel bad about yourself, that you're lazy and that you don't care. And it's not just about the language, also the culture, you learn nothing. And I do agree that there are a lot of people that don't really care about where they're about to go to. But at the same time, if you have a tourism spot, especially a 1 week, 2 week thing, how much are you really trying to learn about all the culture when a lot of these countries just make it easy just to have a good time? A good place to have restaurants and beaches and cultural spots and tours, and you know, you're going to learn all this stuff when you get there. That's one of the reasons why you go. What is the point of going to new places and knowing everything about the place already, right? It's a little bit easier for other countries around the world to know about your culture, which, when I say you, I'm talking to other people in the pop Western world, right? People that sound like me. It's pretty much on the internet is the only thing that you see, you know? And, you know, I've seen this side of the internet from people in Asia and Latin America and stuff like that. And even though, yeah, they get their own side, they still got the Western stuff pumping in. Films, Instagrams, famous people. This is impossible. And for them to know your culture is got to be a lot easier, and it's a lot more focused on what's going on. For me to learn the cultures of all these countries, let's have a look at this again. Look at them. It's hundreds, you know? For instance, when I went to Italy before, a lot of the time there would be people like, I was staying with a family and there'd be people that come and they'd be like speaking English to me straight away, right? They're all Italian, or some of them, you know, from South America, right? They'd be like, oh, hi, how you doing? And here's me already trying to speak Spanish or Italian to them, and they're speaking English. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Then they would be saying something like, why don't you learn Italian? Why don't you learn stuff about this place? You know, you people from Britain, you are so lazy. And at the time, you know, I was a bit younger and I was like, well, which countries do I learn the language from? We're in Europe. There are many languages here. Do I learn German? Do I learn French? Do I learn Italian? Romanian? Polish? What do I learn? Dutch. I mean, that's one of the closest places, one of the closest sort of things, right? The answer is impossible. The answer is How am I supposed to learn all these languages and live life at the same time? Especially when I'm on holiday just for a few weeks. Yeah. And it makes me think, like, where does that come from? Where does this, why don't you do this? Why don't you learn about our culture? We learned about yours. Well, no one asked you to learn ours. No one asked. It's just there, and you see it, and people get jealous, you know. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who speak English just because they want to be part of the wide world. There's a lot of Chinese people, but I don't see a lot of people trying to learn Chinese because it's not that cool, right? A lot more learning Japanese because of all the anime. That goes in our brain, and we want to learn it. If people are watching the flipping Avengers and stuff, and they're like, wow, this is amazing, let's all join the bandwagon. Alright, I understand that, it's fine, but don't start blaming the people that are already a part of it and saying, why do you include us, and, you know, why is it all in English? And on the other side, I was in England, and I was in a seaside town, and I was in a bar, you know, bar, restaurant, and I was at the counter, and there was this guy, I think it was either Portuguese or French, but I knew he used both of them trying to speak. He didn't know any English whatsoever, which I was like, wow, this is crazy. This town is quite far away from a lot of stuff. And the guy was saying that he wants some bread for his baby, right? Luckily, I stepped in like a superhero, stepped in and be like, pan, baby, easy. Bread for the baby. And, you know, they were there for a long time trying to sort this out. It's quite a unique thing to ask at a bar. But then I heard one of the staff ladies behind the bar say something like, why can't everyone speak the same language? And I was like, and then she said, English, you know, why can't everyone just speak English? And she was speaking to the other guy, you know, working behind the bar. And I thought, this is wild. Does this represent everyone that goes on holiday anywhere? If there was going to be a global language, which language would it be? Would it be Spanish? There's more Spanish speakers in the world than English. But would it be Spanish? There's more Chinese, you know, Mandarin, Cantonese put together speakers that speak in the whole world more than Spanish. Chinese, Spanish, English. Is everyone going to speak Chinese? No. Spanish? Maybe. English? I could see that happening. It's sort of a standard, right? So if you already have people living their lives that already speak English, you're asking them to do more, which I've already said before, it's good to learn other languages. It's good to learn about other cultures. But for people to make you feel bad and make you feel guilty for not doing so just because you go somewhere, right? Even Americans that don't go anywhere, people just call them ignorant and stupid. Which is, you know, it's kind of not fair. I mean, you can. I mean, I have. But it's not fair. Because you could say that about so many other countries around the world that people have never left, people never gone out. But it's not cool to make fun of other countries. You know, it's not cool to just make fun of Pakistan. You know, make fun of, well, Kazakhstan. There was a guy that made fun of Kazakhstan. One of the best films ever made. I don't think the sequel was that good. You know? It's not really cool to make fun of the Philippines or something. Mainly because people don't really know what's been going on there, you know? If you have the average person on the planet say, what's happened in America in the last year, they could tell you something. They could tell you some sort of something, either about the president or whatever. But if you asked something about what happened in the past year in the Philippines to the average person on the planet, they might be able to tell you nothing. On average, I reckon, nothing. Because it's just not in the global psyche, it's not in the zeitgeist, so why would it be there, and people only want to complain about what's popular. And people have been getting pretty comfortable insulting people of the Western world. And it's getting too normal, and I think it's getting too ridiculous. Especially the double standards of the standard of a native English speaking person versus someone from a random country in the world. It's just not the same. You just can't make fun of other countries the same, but you can make fun of America like crazy, Britain, Australia, whatever. It's okay. It's fine. You're not gonna get put in prison. No, nothing. Like if you went to China and started making fun of that whole country, I don't think you'd be able to do the same. So if I was to go back to the typical situation of you're learning a language, let's say it's not just 2 weeks. Let's say you're trying to live somewhere for a year or more, you know. You're really trying to live somewhere, right? Yeah, it's going to be very difficult when you start learning a language and speaking to people, and you will feel this sense of like, you know, I'm nervous, you know, I don't want people to just be like correcting me like non-stop. That's just not, I mean, that's not unique to anyone. Very many foreign speakers will be very nervous to speak to you in English, right? Even though it might not seem like that. When I started doing the interviews for the Ballydock, it's like I'm speaking to people who have great English, but as soon as I start talking about the camera, they're like, no, my English is bad and yada yada, because it's on tape, and they're going to be nervous that people are going to watch back and criticize that, right? I said, don't worry about it, no worries, no one cares, it's all good. If anything's so bad, you can speak in your own language. Sometimes there'll be subtitles, right? But the thing is, if you're a native English speaker, and it's not common for anyone that you know to speak any other languages apart from high school French, it's going to be nerve-wracking, and you can put yourself in a horrible position where you just never progress. And I've definitely done that, you know. I've definitely gone through the route of that. You know, I had 4 years of Spanish school, full-on local school as a kid, but I didn't take advantage of that because it was a tough time, you know. But yet, push forward, you know, learn more, just get used to it, get used to being comfortable and not getting annoyed with people, and if people speak English with you, it's all good. Just get some Spanish words back into it, and it gets other people comfortable, you know. As long as everyone's comfortable together, it's all good. Communication happens. And that's really the most important part, is can you communicate? Can you communicate that you are giving a shit about someone else's life? That's important. And that's more important than any language part, you know. So, yeah, let's say a year after, you're going well, you're having some sentences, but you're not fluent, right? Eventually, there'll be people that are very good in English and their language. Eventually, you'll be in a good situation. I'll take you to a situation of last week. I was at a party, and everyone is Spanish, you know. Everyone is Spanish speaking. But there are many people that have good English. Yeah, some really good. And it gets into a situation where some people don't really speak English at all, and the others speak very well. And it's a very good situation for me to be able to speak both, because there'll be people that have no idea, and I would help them along because I know the word which they don't. Great. You have someone else that speaks very good English as a non-native, and it can get into a good situation of everyone's learning together. There's no weird thing of, all right, let's just speak one language, because there's no way someone else is going to be able to understand. And there'll be a lot of times where it's like that. It's confusing when you travel around the world, and there'll be like French people talking to each other in English because there's other English speakers, right? And stuff like that. So for me, it was great to get even more, and I learned and they learned and we all learned together, you know? And, you know, if you can get to the point where you're kind of like, you can kind of basically have the same languages. You're speaking to someone you would normally speak English to in their language now. That gets cool, and I like that. And You know, as I say, it's not just about the language, it's about the culture and you know, for me to speak to the people about all sorts of stuff, the places I've never even been to, you know, just because I care about it. I look online and speak to other people about what's going on in this country and that country. It gets cool because they feel like they actually believe that you care about what's going on, you know. If you didn't know anything, then you can be curious, you know. But it was great because, you know, there was no one saying, why don't you learn about the, you know, oh, you're English. And although there were some people that were like, are you English? Or speaking English straight away. I never met them before. Is it this obvious? And as time goes on, it just gets better. So learn stuff about the world because it's interesting. But don't let anyone insult you where you're from, where you're born, because no one chooses that, right? And if they were in your shoes and you were in theirs, what would be the difference? It'd be the same outcome as now. You'd be insulting them about what's going on in their life, what they've lived. You don't know. And they would feel bad because they just feel like they're an uncultured idiot. You know, no one wants that, you know. You're just spreading stupidity and you're spreading jealousy, I guess. You know, it just seems like that, like jealousy, like I learned stuff about them, so they should learn stuff about me, but they don't seem to care. That's what it starts to look like. So stop that, man. Get off Facebook and start complaining about life. Get on YouTube and start making YouTube videos about complaining. So that's it. Just learn stuff about stuff. Because you want to.